This is the story of one Canadian soldier, an infantryman who is now somewhere in England. This is the story of a soldier rehearsed in the job to be done, assault and attack. This soldier knows the caliber of the enemy, knows that in equal combat he can be beaten. From comrades, he knows the stealth, endurance, surprise, and furious flash of a commando raid. Knows, too, that on the frozen steppes of Russia, the Nazi war machine has met setback and defeat. Canada was still called the arsenal of democracy when this soldier enlisted. He was just the man on the street, the fellow next door. Canadian production was mounting. More tanks, more guns. The 200 Nazi divisions were still on the march. Machines alone could never stem the Nazi tide. That was common sense. It must be manpower plus machines. Our recruit was tough, strong, raring for battle. He took his place in an infantry training center beside 1,000 other Canadians whose heritage of freedom and toughness made it easy to turn them into skilled, self-reliant fighting men.
I just didn't know how tough Canadians are until I joined the Army. I met fellows from the mountains, the coasts, the Northwoods, men right off the farm and just out of the office, loggers and store clerks, coal miners and college men. Every one of them gave up something. A great bunch of guys, Pete and Jock and York and Knudsen. We all wanted to get at the real job fast. We wanted to fight. But at the start, all we did was drill, day in and day out. Grousing became as natural as breathing to us.
I want to repeat what I've told you so many times before. Why are we doing this squad drill and arms drill? Why are we marching up and down the square so much? Now, there is a reason for it. And you'll find in your later training that which you have learned now is going to stand you in good stead. You are learning discipline. You're learning coordination of mind and muscle. You're learning to act quickly and to think quickly. And it may be a means of saving your life and the life of your comrades. Squad, boom! Slope, down. Move to the right and freeze. Right, turn. On the right.
But you know, it doesn't come to you all at once, the connection between so much squad drill and the real business of learning to fight. For instance, from our very first bayonet practice right up to where we could zip the point right through that little rope ring, we learned one thing. You gotta concentrate and make your muscles respond. Coordination, they call it. And we had learned to act on orders and to act fast. But there are no commands for unarmed combat. A soldier is his own officer. Suppose you're unarmed and the enemy thinks you're harmless. Well, if you know your unarmed combat, a few simple holes and a tough little guy can floor a man twice his size. All you need are your bare hands and a sense of timing. You learn all that in the infantry. Our platoon officer has got a pet theory. It's not the weapon that's dangerous, he says, it's the man behind the weapon. Sure, we knew the feel of a rifle from hunting trips or shooting galleries, but that doesn't cut any ice with the Army. First, you have to learn correct sighting, aiming, and cleaning. And you don't pick that up by yourself. Pretty soon, you learn to treat your rifle as though it were your right arm. A strong right arm that makes a soldier faster than his weapon. Fast enough to fire 5 rounds in 5 seconds. First, you start firing 100 yards from your target. Pretty soon, it's 1,000 yards. Your target looks like a pinpoint at that distance. If there's one job a soldier hates, it's cleaning his weapon. It's pretty dull at first, but when you get into the more advanced training, like the 2-inch mortar, it's not just a cleaning job. It's almost an art. My fingers were all thumbs, but some of the fellows were just like kids with a mechano set. Any weapon must be kept in good working order, and I do mean clean. especially if it's a complicated piece of machinery that strips down to at least 8 cleanable parts like the Bren gun. A soldier armed with a Bren can be a mighty dangerous enemy. You don't have to be a genius to figure out that a man who can fire 120 rounds a minute is more important in battle than a man who can only fire 35.
300. Time practice. 15 rounds in each of 2 magazines. 20 seconds allowed. Go on when your target appears.
That's what the Bren gun can do, 120 rounds a minute. You get a real bang out of working that gun. It's easy to fire, and every man in the infantry learns how to handle it.
Unload! Number 1, get clear. Number 2, gun clear. Number 3, gun clear. Number 4, gun clear.
A training day is divided into periods, and the most welcome one of all for any soldier is the eating period. That's the one time I guess we all think and act alike. Out on the ranges, the command is, shoot the grub to me, bub. The cooks rustle up some real chow, and you realize that there's something in that old corn about an army marching on its stomach. But instead of following through with a peaceful after-dinner snooze, you've got to go on with the business of training for battle. Tommy guns used to be cops and robber stuff back when Chicago was a shooting town, but the infantry has plans of its own for this streamlined weapon. A .45 is a mean customer to meet up with in house-to-house fighting or close-quarter combat. And when you can send a burst through a target firing from the hip, mister, you're good.
14 out of 20.
Ha! That's not so hot. What happened to the other 6?
Look, your shots are all going high. They're going over your target. Hold your muzzle down a little this time.
Your training on the parade ground and on the ranges makes you tough and fast. You learn to work with a bunch of guys as a team. But it's in the barracks that you really get to know these fellas. Most of them living a kind of life they've never lived before. Your NCO is a little tougher than your mother or your wife. You don't leave your stuff around for him to pick up, unless you want a couple of days CB. In the Army, every man's bunk is his castle. And judging from the holes in some of the guys' socks, they just don't give a darn. Get it? Some of the guys in our barracks are getting to be about as fussy as old maids. Whether we like it or not, each one of us has got to take a turn as orderly. The one place you can really sleep is in barracks, if they'll let you, and horseplay soon shows up the sorehead. But if you've got some reading or some studying that you want to do, and if you're serious about it, they'll give you a break. That is, if you're really serious about it. Some guys study so hard their brains crack under the strain. But even the most hard-boiled guys get a little sentimental over a letter from home. After all, that sort of sums up the things you fight for.
Sweetheart, what's your wife?
The something for me, Sarge?
No, not this time.
Why nobody seems to want to write that?
There you go. Not this time.
Anything for me?
No.
Uh-oh, Bill.
What do you get on the mail? Been writing yourself, eh?
Go on, private.
Well, I see Sally's getting married, eh?
Where do you see that?
Right here. Oh, blazes, that's the girl I used to run around with. Think you'll ever recover?
Hey, Pete.
Yeah?
Here's a letter from Mark Carr overseas.
Mark Carr, overseas.
Right.
The last time I heard from Marty, he was at the coast. Oh, he's over there now. Hey, tell me, did you ever get a letter from Ruth? Remember the little girl you used to run around with at the coast? Oh, yeah. No, she hasn't ever written us off. She hasn't, eh? No. Oh, that's just bad. Well. Why? Well, oh, you used to have a lot of fun with her, if I remember.
Okay, boy, get in there, Pete. That's the stuff, that's the stuff. Come on,
Come
boy.
on, come on. All right,
It's only around payday that the guys beat it out of camp after dinner. Most of the time, there's lots going on right around the barracks, like a movie or a scrappy baseball game. And the tougher the day, the more those guys take it out on the ump. The fellows who thought they were going to get away from brain work in the Army were certainly fooled. They've got to go to kindergarten all over again. A soldier in the infantry today goes to school right from the start to get the hang of things like map reading. You learn the symbols for sawmills, water towers. You find out what those funny little signs mean. You learn to identify landmarks and how to inspect ground miles away. How to find your exact position and examine contours, measure distances. In battle, a soldier's map may save his life and the lives of his comrades. I guess a Messerschmitt or a Stuka swooping low and pumping hot lead can throw a mighty good scare into any guy. But that's where your training and instinctive action come in. You drill and drill for months on how to scatter and take cover. You learn how to concentrate your fire, how to fire together in one burst, how to keep the plane high enough to cut down his striking power. First you practice with rifle, then machine gun. Always your target is a balloon, and always in the back of your mind, you wish it were a plane. The Army moves like clockwork, and there's order in everything it does, even in the way they feed you. Every man at the same time. You don't spend half your time trying to get served and finally wind up with cold meat and potatoes. Whether we like it or not, we get our vitamins and calories. Our diets are planned. Oh, nothing fancy. No chocolate eclairs or pink teas. But there are PTs. That means the physical training the Army gives you to keep fit. Our instructor always cracks, you gotta be limber to be fighting timber. So he gets us in shape and develops our sense of rhythm. We learn to do things together at the same time. Teamwork. That's what makes the infantry. But some of the guys think the commandos are missing a good bet in them. 45 minutes a day of PT isn't enough. They've got to go one better. So they go in for gym squats, jumping over horses, getting muscle bound. But I gotta admit, a little thing like an assault course doesn't faze these boys. The assault course is rough, tough, and nasty. And you've got to be a cross between a champion sprinter and a pack horse. Trenches to jump. Hurdles to clear. 45 pounds of battle pack on your back. Thunder flashes busting your eardrum. Smoke choking and blinding you. And all the time, you've got to keep remembering every ounce of drill and bayonet training they ever taught you. I sort of got the feeling that an assault course is, well, like making a 70-yard run for a touchdown with plenty of obstacles in the way. But there are no crowds to cheer when you've made the goal. No, siree. You're just glad to flop down. Ease your pack. And loosen your tunic. Right then, a man's best friend is a shower.
When I get my pay, how about them $2? Only $2 tonight?
You can take my gal out, I suppose.
That's a good idea, Court.
You suppose I think you money to take?
Hi, Logger. How's it going? What's the matter, Roy? You all pooped out?
Yeah, that assault course is pretty tough.
You guys at the assault course get you down this afternoon?
Why, hello there, store clerk. How are you?
Well, what's the matter with being a store clerk? We cleanly, it's a good, honest profession.
Nothing wrong. By golly, I can't figure it all out.
What do you mean? Figure what out?
Well, you work in a store, a pretty soft life. Roy works in a farm where he works pretty hard, and yet he's all pooed out on it.
Yeah, but I mean, Roy wastes a lot of energy doing his beta training. Do you ever notice how he makes a point?
Yes, I was just going to show him something on that. The way he makes it and the way he should make it. When you make it and you walk in there, you want to walk straight in. Like that, you see?
Notice, Roy, when he makes his point, the rifle never moves from the position it's in when he's carrying it at the on guard. Forearm still along the top of the butt, and the butt still up against his hip, and the only thing that actually moves the point of the bayonet is the fact that he's walking. Most of you fellas, when you're making a point, you pull the rifle away back with your arms and throw the thing away forward.
Well, hello.
Oh, God.
You got a haircut, too, man. Get a load of that.
Oh, you guys are just envious. I got a date tonight. Can't be bothered with you.
You're the bull with a chip on that cut.
Now, look, fellas, I got to go up to the canteen and make a phone call. Jock, I'll buy you a Coke if you come up with me.
Well, boy, if you were buying, I'm sure coming.
Give us deep in the heart of Texas, Ted. You can always tell when there's going to be a dance in camp. The band blows its head off for weeks ahead. And on the big night, why, hell breaks loose in the washroom. 2,000 razors scrape 2,000 chins. Everything smells of shoe polish and hair oil. You never saw so many prima donnas in one place. Then when you get there, some guys get the girls and some guys get the bird. There are even guys who just come along to be alone in a crowd. And in this corner, we have the ogling Oscars. And now I'm going to let you in on a military secret. Did anybody ever tell you an army dances on its stomach? Art lovers in the infantry. And what does a soldier do with his spare time? Why, he reads, he studies, he improves his mind. In fact, my friends, he's clear out of this world.
Okay, come on, you guys. Out of it. Don't that guy ever sleep there? Come on, get out of bed. Hey, wake that guy up down there, McKay. Matson, get up. Oh, 5 minutes after 6. Come on, hit the deck down there.
Come on, Kurt, let's sleep them today. I'm going on sick parade.
Okay, pay attention. Quiet, you guys. Pay attention. There's a mass parade at 7:45 this morning. I want you all dressed in battle order at 7:30.
What, another parade?
Rope on.
ROC is a pretty good head. Not the brass hat type that get you out on the parade ground just to watch you march around in full equipment under a hot sun. We sort of get a kick out of parading for him. If your company puts everything it's got into its marching, it isn't wasted on the OC. Mostly when he calls the parade, he's got something pretty important to tell us.
Now, today's parade marks the completion of one of the phases of your training. As your commanding officer, I've watched with a great deal of interest your progress in the fundamentals of this game we call soldiering. Your conduct on parade today and your deportment and marching proves to me one thing, that you've learned the meaning of discipline, which is really the ability to give command and to obey command. I know that some of you at times have got fed up with this fundamentals of soldiering, and I know that you all want to get on with the job for which you enlisted, which is to get over there and do some fighting. But try to remember that this job of soldiering is not learned in a day. Now, I want each one of you to feel that he is an important and vital member of a team, and that the success or failure of an engagement may depend upon his ability to think and act quickly. Now, up till now, you have worked in squads and platoons. Tomorrow, you will take part in an exercise involving the whole battalion. It will be an exercise in the attack, that is to say, an offensive action, which will take into account the initiative, skill, and ability of each member of this little team of ours. Now, you men who have been itching to fight, here is your opportunity to prove whether you are able to do this job. I want all the officers and non-commissioned officers down to section leaders to meet me in the training building tonight at 1800 hours, when I will explain the scheme for tomorrow's work to you on the sand table.
Now, the lesson I want to bring out in tomorrow's exercise is the necessity for offensive action in the protective role. Our task is to provide flank protection to a column which is moving in a southwesterly direction along here, and I intend doing it in this manner. A company, that will be your company clerk, will provide the advance guard. And I want you to make as your first objective, the first bound, Point S. Your second objective, Bon Hill. And your final objective, Dark Wood. Now, during...
Our kindergarten training is over. From now on, we've got to learn to move and act as a big team. That's the way it is. In 4 months, you've changed from a store clerk, a logger, or a miner into a soldier. From here in, you're on your own. You're ready to take your place for battle, beginning to get the meaning of all the fire and fight of an assault course, all the muscle-building PT, all the firing and jarring of the machine gun. That's what the tactical exercise is for. Our platoon is far up in advance of the rest of the battalion, with my section leading. Our immediate objective is a clump of wood. Suddenly, the enemy opened fire. We dash across exposed ground. We keep low and take advantage of all cover. We've contacted the enemy. Now it's your job to take a position and to hold it. Every single hour of training is beginning to count. You're a soldier now, a Canadian infantryman.
Once before, at Vimy Ridge, at Festubert, at Givenchy, the enemy has felt the impact and fury of the men of Canada, has known the sting of their slashing French raids, the forerunner of today's commando tactics. They have reason to fear the tough fighting qualities of the Canadian soldier. Battles are yet to come. Our tanks will close with the enemy's Panzer divisions. Our planes will blast their Messerschmitts from the skies. But victory will be won by the steel and fire of the infantry. For only the infantry can come to close grips with the Nazi and destroy him as he destroyed Poland, Norway, the lowlands, and Greece. The fate of the oppressor will be in the hot lead and cold steel of a citizen's army whose motto is battle is our business.